Hello and welcome to another episode of Make It Sunday with Funky Fossils. My name's Sarah Gray. Lovely to see you here. And I'm not sure how many of these we've done now. This might be our 10th episode of Make It Sunday. And the idea behind it is just to have a little bit more time to do a demo, give you some ideas and inspiration for using your stash, your Funky Fossil products or anything else that you may have. And just give you some thoughts about ways you might want to use them to make something in your journal, card making, home decor, however you like to create. This week I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I am up against it. We've got a workshop this Saturday, and I'm trying to squeeze in filming this video before we head off down to the workshop, so I'm going to try and keep it nice and simple today, so you might be lucky and have a slightly shorter video to watch. What I want to do is something you may have seen me do before. It's one of my absolute favourite things to do in terms of using my stencils to create quite an unusual effect. And today I'm going to use our stag's head, our large stag's head. Apologies for the glare. Our large stag's head, which comes with the mask as well. And I'm going to put our cloud stenciler in the cloud stencil into that aperture of the stag to give you kind of a bit of a dreamy effect. I'm going to use a few stamps with it, I think, in terms of what's in my head at the moment. So we've got our Born to Roam A5 stamp set, and also I was thinking we might use our lovely little A7 bird silhouettes stamps, because they're really versatile, nice size to be able to pop them into projects. So I'm just going to, I don't need many other supplies. I'm going to make a page in my journal, and we're going to do a bit of ink blending, and the main thing is just to look at ways that we can layer up our stencils to create really quite a dreamy style of image. So I couldn't find my stag's head, so I'm going to open a new one for the purposes of today's video. And I'm going to use the aperture here rather than the mask. But you can imagine you could use your mask on your project and create kind of a blank space that you could be working in by inking around the outside of the mask. Also great on your gel plates. So lots of things you can do with masks, which maybe I will do in a future video. So what I'm thinking is of putting our stag up in this corner here, so not centered on the page but kind of offset to one side, in order that we can potentially put a stamped image here and have a bit of an overlap between the two. And before I put our clouds or bring our clouds into play, I'm going to add a little bit of colour around the edges of the stag, just to give that shape some definition, and hopefully you'll see where this is going fairly quickly. So I'm going to use salvage patina. Because I'm doing clouds in the stag's head, I'm going to use some blues, because we wanted to create the effect of a sky. And this is a nice, salvage patina is a nice kind of pale blue, bluey green. So I'm focusing, I've got my small blending brush here, and I'm focusing mainly on the outer edges of the image. I'm not worried about stenciling all the way into the centre of the image, because of course we're going to be adding our clouds to the head. But sometimes if you're putting a pattern into an aperture like this, if you don't add inking around the edge, then you lose definition of the actual design that you're working into. And particularly when you've got something like this with these antlers on the stag, with the clouds, you may not really see the antlers if you didn't already put some colour down for them. So I'm just holding all this with my hands, because it's a very easy stencil to line back up if it decided to move on me. And as you can see, I'm pulling the ink in, so sometimes starting on the mylar and then just pulling it in, so it doesn't give me too heavy an outline. And I won't do all of the internal inking with the clouds in real time, but we'll get started and then we can speed it up, because obviously once you've got the idea of where I'm going with it, you probably don't need to watch me using the stencil the whole way down. So I think we've got our image defined. Let's pull the stencil up and see. You can see there, hopefully, again it's quite pale, deliberately pale. You can see that you've got now your image visible. So whatever we do inside the image now with the other stencil, we'll at least know we're working within this stag silhouette. So I'm going to put the stag back down directly over where it has been already. This time I am going to add a bit of tape, and my reasoning being that I'm going to add the cloud over the top and start moving that stencil around above it when I'm moving the clouds up and down a little bit. So I don't want to have to realign the stag every time. The other thing I would say about this technique is it's fine to do over the top, to have this stencil over the top and apply your ink, because your brush has that little bit more depth to it and it can make nice contact with the paper. If I was wanting to put a pattern inside this stag silhouette with some paste, then I would put my pattern underneath this the main stencil, so that the palette knife is making direct contact with the paper and you don't have this layer of mylar between the two. So I hope that makes sense. So because I'm using ink, I'm not worried about laying this over the top and using and inking through. But if I was putting a different pattern in here and I wanted it flush to the paper so I could pull paste over the top, then I would absolutely put the pattern as the first layer on the paper itself. Well, I'm sure I made that much more complicated than it needed to be. I'm trying to resist the temptation to put my head right over. In fact, I'm going to do it. I'm sorry. I keep moving this paper underneath. So I just want to make sure my stag is lined up every time. There we go. So I'm going to put some masking tape at the bottom here, mainly to ensure that it stays with the paper. Now let's start adding some fun details. I'm going to start actually really where the main head is on the stag, because I don't think you're going to see much of the cloudy details in the antlers, so I might go in with a slightly heavier colour with the antlers just to give them definition, because I don't think the clouds are really going to translate into that narrower space. I'm going in with a slightly heavier colour here. I want peacock feathers on my brush. So it's kind of almost like just a few shades darker than salvage patina. And with this stencil, in the cloud stencil, you see you've got two patterned edges at either end of the stencil, and it's that outline edge that I'm going to be using for this. And each edge is different, so you can of course then work with each of them, and if you kind of use them on the same kind of cloudy sky, you're not going to be repeating the same pattern every time. I'm going to pull this up, the ink up. Again, this is using my smaller blending brush, so I'm not trying to or having to work too hard to avoid these clouds that are in the main body of the stencil. This is one of those things that takes a little bit of patience to do, because you want it to build up that ink colour and create quite a nice soft blend. So hopefully you can see that first layer of cloud. I'll do another layer of cloud, and then I'll do a bit of speeded up inking, so you can just see me work my way down the stag's head. And of course, because with the stencil you can flip it either way. You've effectively got 4 different edges on the stencil, because you can have the clouds going in different directions to add to that variety. And the only thing I'd say to remember to do if you are doing it that way is to make sure you do wipe off the ink before you flip it over, so you don't end up with inky marks where you don't want them. Can you see? Right. I'm going to carry on. It shouldn't take me too long, but I'm going to carry on doing this while the video is speeded up, and you can just watch the process as we get that sky coming to life in the stag's head. So I hope the lighting's a bit better for this part of the video. And I was looking back at the first section, I realised how dark it was in here, so I've adjusted the lighting. So while we were doing the inking through the stencil, hopefully that was a bit sharper and a bit clearer for you to see. So this is where we've ended up so far with our dreamy stag's head with the clouds filled in. I did a bit of inking around the outside, and I'm just going to add now a little bit of stamping to kind of complete the page and give it some more content. But I am wanting to keep it clean and simple this week in a nice crisp layout, so I won't be doing too much more to it. Now I'm going to go with this very kind of abstract geometric style stag from the Born to Rome stamp set, because I think that will kind of add a nice angular contrast to the dreaminess of that stag. And what I wanted to do, I'm positioning it just so there's some overlap of the stamp with the stenciling, so it really kind of connects the two images on the page. And this is a new stamp, so I'm just, as always, they're always a bit sticky, aren't they, when they're new. So let's add, I'm going to keep the colour scheme really simple as well on this one. So I'm just going to add my stamping it in black. I love this stag image. I just think it's so unusual. And in terms of the Stampers bundle, the Sunday bundle for this week, obviously there'll be a link down below, but I'll be putting the stag stamps, the bird stamps, the clouds and the stag stencil in that bundle, so you get a great price on those if you want to do something similar to this or use those products for other things. But hopefully you will give that kind of double stenciling idea a go. The lines on this is quite fine, so it's not as if you've got a big solid image that you need to make contact on the page. So that's a nice, I've pulled the camera right in this time, and now I'm thinking that I'm kind of struggling to keep myself in shot. How cool does that look? And it looks great, doesn't it, with the contrast of the head just kind of floating behind it. Now I thought it'd be a really nice idea to kind of break this stenciling a little bit and add one of the birds sitting on the outline at the top. There's also this little one here with the birds in flight, and I could put them somewhere. I think maybe, I just don't want them flying up his nose. These are important considerations. So let's put this one up at the top and let's see how that looks once they've done it. So I've been perched on that top antler, and it's a silhouette stamp, so stamping it in the black will mean it will sit in front of the stenciling. I'm hoping that's right, it hasn't lifted the paper too much. That is the only problem when your stamps are still sticky from being new. If you do want to repeat stamp and it's already lifted the paper, you're just never quite as confident you're going to get that exact registration again on a second stamp. Right. Silhouette stamps are so versatile, aren't they? Right, hopefully I've put enough pressure on that. Yeah, lovely crisp outline there. That looks so fun, doesn't it? Now, this is a dilemma, this is the question of the hour, do I put our little flying birds in as well? And where would we put them? Maybe I'll just put them here. I do like the idea of them kind of breaking out of that sky we've created. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe if we put them closer to the stag itself, I think that will connect it better. I think, yeah, I'll put it here. I think that's going to make sense. Well, it's a fairly abstract page anyway, isn't it? So I'm not sure whether making sense is the right word, but I think it will work there. Let's see. When I'm doing a clean and simple page like this, as it goes on, I get increasingly worried that that's going to be the point at which I put a massive ink splat somewhere where I don't want it. And that's when a clean and simple design starts to become a busier design, because then you have to work hard at working with the new addition to your page. That's nice, isn't it? So, words. Do we put words on our page today? Do we put Born to Roam, given we've got the wings of the birds? I want to kind of leave this space here a little bit clear to keep it crisp. So this stamp set has two fabulous sentiments: all those who wander are not lost, and Born to Roam. And it would fit there, all those who wander are not lost. Born to Roam would fit there nicely. I just don't want to keep the space clear, haven't I? But actually I think that works really nicely there. Change my mind again. So I'm going to put all those who wander are not lost here. This is going to, oh, I haven't put the measurements down. Gee whiz. There we go. Yeah. So this black stamping is just kind of adding some real impact, isn't it, to the design. We've not lost our cloudy stag, but the sharp black is going to kind of pushes it backwards a little bit. Yeah, that's a nice crisp finish. Yeah, I like that. So, final few touches, and I'll do off camera and then share the finished project with you. Is I think I'm going to add a little bit of ink blending at the bottom, just to put our stag on some kind of a footing. He's already got a line at the bottom anyway, so I think I'll just be able to continue that and just add a bit of a base to ground the image. And I haven't decided, but I may well add a little bit with our micro dot stencil, just to bring in a bit of a half tone detailing around the edges, just to give it a bit of texture, give the page a bit of texture and a bit more interest around the edge, but not to take too much away from that kind of nice crisp graphic feel that we've got there. But I'll do both those off camera, and you'll see the finished design in the thumbnail. But I hope you like the simplicity of this week's Make It Sunday. Hope you like the idea. There are lots of patterns and detailed stencils that would work great in some of your larger aperture stencils. If you've got leaves, even if you've got circles and hearts, you could put a pattern in those by layering up your stencils as I've shown you. But it doesn't need much more than that. I think that's quite a nice set of imagery. As I say, have a look at the Sunday Makers bundle that will be in the shop using products that are in this video. And I hope, if you haven't done already, that you like and subscribe to my channel and help me grow Funky Fossil on YouTube, and also ensure that lots more people get to see our Make It Sunday episodes. I'm going to leave you there. I hope you've enjoyed it this week, and thank you for joining me, and I shall see you again next Sunday. Bye for now.